Hey folks, Daily Landsblog here for the 2nd of May, 2018. And tomorrow I will be in Exeter, Ontario. I'll also be in Blythe, Ontario. I'm going to be there for 3 speeches over, just actually over the one day. So I'm going to work tomorrow morning and then I'm going to go off and give those 3 speeches. Then I'm going to come home and I'm going to try to somehow pay attention to the Raptors game at the same time. So it's a very busy day. And I realized, I may just have an honorary position as one of the what's the right word, Case? In Southwest Ontario. Think of the places that I've been. Exeter and Blythe tomorrow. Last week I was in Owen Sound, I was in Thornbury, and I was in Walkerton. I have been in Windsor, of course, in London, and Cambridge, and Waterloo, and Kitchener. What?
Sarnia.
Sarnia, Ontario, New Hamburg. Who's been to New Hamburg but me? And then there's Baden and... I don't even think I'm even close to naming them all. And they're sort of all in that corridor. Petrolia. How could I forget the folks at Petrolia? I loved going to Petrolia. And, I've found that the small town is a really, really important thing for us at SickNotWeak. But also it's actually, for me, it's more rewarding and it's more interesting and it's a lot warmer, and I think it's just something special other than going to a big city, which it's not like I go to Vancouver and they're going to go, oh my gosh, SickNotWeak's coming to Vancouver. I mean, it would be hardly noticed. But when you go to a small town, I feel like I can have impact. But I also feel like there's a stigma that exists, and there's the fear of being known as the person with the mental illness or the person from the family with the mental illness that exists in every town, in every country around the world, of course. But in the small town where everybody knows everybody else's business, where it's really impossible to be anonymous, I think it's even more important. And that's why I feel like we can have the impact. And I feel like the most important message that I can share with a small community, and in general, I go to these small communities when they've been touched by a tragedy, as is the case in Exeter and Blythe. But I think the important message that is not unique to a small community, but even more important, is how you tell your message. Because it is going to get out there, and that there will be people, your neighbors will know. And I think it's so important how you tell the message, that you are and will be seen as you see yourself. If you see yourself as being a victim of the stigma, for instance, if you think that mental illness somehow is a weakness, then people will perceive you that way. And I'm not saying that it's this simple, but people see you how you see you. So my question to you is, regardless of where you live, how do you see yourself and your mental illness, if in fact you suffer from one? Or how do you see your spouse or somebody that you care about in your life? Do you see them as being victims of their illness? I mean, no one wants to be perceived as a victim, but I think it's important for me, for instance, when I talk about it, say, hey, I'm the victim here. I'm not the criminal. I didn't bring this upon myself. So I think it's all about the strength with which you talk about it. You will be seen as you see yourself. If you see yourself as weak, if you see yourself as somehow having inflicted this upon yourself, then other people will see it. But if you say it this way, and I generally start my speeches with this. Hi, I'm Michael Landsblog, and I suffer from a mental health challenge called depression and anxiety as well. And you know what? It's been about 18 years. I've been taken down by this illness a few times. I'm on medication today, and I will be the rest of my life. And you know what? This is not my fault. I did not ask for this illness. I cannot will it away. You know what? I am the victim of this illness, and I need you to understand that I am sick, and I am not weak, and I'm not ashamed, and I'm not embarrassed. And if you can teach yourself not to say those words, but to believe those words about yourself, then I believe there's a better chance other people will see you that way as well. If you talk weak, then people perceive you as weak. If you talk strong, then they have no choice but to say, hey, you know what? Yeah, I'll buy that. SickNotWeak.com, 24 hours a day, 364 days a year. The tour of small towns, Southwest Ontario continues. Landsblog's coming to Exeter and Blythe, and I have no idea why I'm talking like this.